now they are in the final stages. The Packers are going to trade their superstar receiver Davante Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Tyreek Hill has been traded from Kansas City to Miami. That man is now a Dolphin.
The Eagles getting A.J. Brown.
Wow.
Tennessee, the 18th overall pick, not to mention a third rounder, which is 101.
The Ravens have made a big trade, sending Hollywood Brown to the Arizona Cardinals. Source said.
It seems like having a star receiver in the NFL has become a hot commodity. It's widely accepted that you need to have one to be able to compete against the other best teams in the league. However, having multiple studs line up wide, that's something very few teams can attest to having. Today we're going to be taking a look at and rank the best wide receiver cores in the NFL. For the analysis, we're going to be cutting down the pool to about 5 teams. To do this, I looked at the PFF grade of each of the wide receiver 1s, wide receiver 2s, and wide receiver 3s on each team. I averaged them out and took the top 5 highest scores. After calculating the math, our top 5 teams are the Eagles, the 49ers, the Raiders, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. The few outliers being the Buccaneers, the Bills, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. Each team is going to be assessed on a basis of points that they acquire from certain topics that I'm going to cover. The team at the very end with the most points is the highest and best wide receiver core in the league. First, let's look at the statistical side of things. So first off, touchdowns. I've given 1 point for every 10 touchdowns scored. The total touchdowns are that of each with a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and wide receiver 3 over the 2021 season. Leading the group is the Bengals with 24 total touchdowns over the 2021 season. This calculates to 2.4 points for them. Coming up the end of the list is the Eagles with 11 total touchdowns, meaning 1.1 points. But don't worry, A.J. Brown missed a lot of games and I have a correction for that. We'll take a look at the total missed games for each of the teams too. I gave 0.2 points for wide receiver 3 missed game, 0.4 points for wide receiver 2 missed game, and 0.6 points for wide receiver 1 missed game, meaning that these points can be tallied up at the end and give a more even number. So in addition to the points totals mentioned earlier, I have the Bengals with 1.4 additional points, the Dolphins with 0.6 additional points, the Niners with 0.8, the Raiders with 1, and the Eagles with 2.4. That means that currently the Bengals lead with 3.8 points as the Eagles follow 3.5. And cleaning up the back is the 49ers with 2.4. Now on to yardage. 10 yards equals 0.1 points. So if we take a look at the combined yards for all the wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and wide receiver 3, we'll get a total value. In 2021, the Bengals went for an impressive 3,395 yards, the Dolphins with 2,856 yards, the 49ers with 2,513 yards, the Raiders with 3,040 yards, and the Eagles with 2,432. Just a quick score update, the Bengals are in the lead at 37.75 points compared to that of the Raiders, 33.4 points. Currently in last is the Niners with 27.53 points. Our next subjects are not going to be technically stats, but more intangible things about the players. For instance, our first one is scheme impact. How much did the player on the teams impact the way that the defenses are going to go and play that game? An honorable mention to A.J. Brown, but I think that the Ja'Marr Chase, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, and Davante Adams all have super huge impacts on how the defense is going to play that game. Therefore, for each of their teams, I'm going to be adding an extra 5 points. Next is the physicality. I have it on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being not physically gifted while 5 is being extremely gifted. For the Bengals, I have them at a 4.9. I think they have guys at every level that are all very quick and can catch a jump ball. I think T. Higgins vertically is really gifted at being able to go up and spot balls and catch them just with his hands. Ja'Marr Chase obviously has breakaway speed that we saw multiple times last year. And Tyler Boyd is one of the best slot receivers in the league, and he's just got a range of tools that he's allowed to use to separate and get off quick off the line. The Dolphins, I gave a 4.6. I think they're the fastest team probably on this list, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Cedric Wilson, but I don't think they've got quite the height as teams like the Bengals and the Raiders have, and I think that hurts them physically while not conceptually and game plan wise, which we'll get into later. For the 49ers, I gave them a 4.7. Overall, very well rounded. Not a set deep threat, however, but much versatility when you're talking about plays across the line, like Deebo Samuel lining up in the backfield or Ayuk on like a slant. Those guys are super quick and super versatile, and they just get out of tackles too. The Raiders, I gave a 4.9. They're almost perfect with just Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow. I mean, both of them are top tier route runners, super gifted physically. Renfrow being a little bit smaller but a little bit quicker, and Davante Adams having that separation and the ability to jump up and go get balls while still maintaining a really good speed. And honestly, Keelan Cole is just a bonus in this situation. And the Eagles I have at 4.5. AJ Brown is super strong. He's big, deep threat. But Watkins and Smith don't really pick up for it where it lacks in speed. I mean, they are fast, don't get me wrong, but they're not a Tyreek Hill or a Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase-esque player. And I think that makes them more limited when it comes to Jalen Hurts' options. And then finally, I have conceptual team play style, or the way I think that they're going to be used in the offense and how well that fits the scheme that the coach is going to implement. So first off, the Bengals. I don't think this one really needs much of an explanation because we had a whole season last year under our belt to be able to see what they can do. But I give them a 4.9. The only thing I think maybe is that like Zach Taylor might have had some instances where there's a few hiccups that cost them some scores, some games, some big plays and whatnot. But overall, I think they're really good, and I think they fit the style that Zach Taylor has in Cincinnati really well. So we got the Dolphins now. I give them a 4.6. Obviously, probably the fastest team in terms of wide receivers in the league. They're really good at the short passes, a lot of yak, a lot of yards after carry on these guys. Jalen Waddle led last year the rookie receptions, and a lot of that was drop downs and shorter passes for Tua could handle. However, I think part of the issue is that the fact that Tua doesn't quite have the arm that I've seen at least so far to be able to go deep and make the plays that Mahomes did in Kansas City, where Tyreek could go down and F it, Tyreek down there somewhere. I don't think that's going to be the same case in Miami, and I think that's going to hurt some of Tyreek's stats overall, and I think he might not be able to use as well down in Miami. The 49ers, I gave a 4.7. I think Deebo is probably the most versatile wide receiver in the league. Super talented, obviously. He's really physical for a wide receiver, and I think that's something that people don't value as much. Ayuk is a super solid, speedy wide receiver on shallow routes. He can be hit deep occasionally. It's not really his forte, but he's super good on those short crossers, and again is a yak monster. The Raiders, I gave a 4.8. Davante Adams is Davante Adams. I don't think that needs explanation. But he's also got another one of the best route runners again on his team, Hunter Renfrow. I think these two guys can do anything from anywhere on the field, and I think that gives Derek Carr a lot of options. And obviously, you've got that chemistry coming from college at Fresno State with Derek Carr. But I think that chemistry should allow for the Raiders coaches, Josh McDaniels, to be able to use some of that chemistry in a good way in Las Vegas. For the Eagles, I gave them a 4. AJ Brown has the ability to go deep. We saw that last year in the Bengals game. So does Devontae. I mean, Devontae obviously had really good chemistry last year with Jalen Hurts. Devontae and AJ Brown, they're taller guys, so you should be able to hit them deeper. AJ Brown is big, Devontae's not as big, but they're not really as quick and agile as the likes of like Boyd, Ayuk, a Hill. They don't have quite that speed in their pocket that they could use to make some big plays. And Quez Watkins is only emerging, but it'll be interesting. Can you see Jalen Hurts getting them the ball enough? Jalen Hurts tends to be a running quarterback. He's pretty good at it, but it'll be interesting to see if he sits in the pocket and waits longer for some routes to formulate for AJ Brown and whatnot because of that speed. And can he be able to, facilitate an offense where the wide receivers are not going to be able to bail him out every time? And before we do our final tally, I'm going to be looking at the average ages of these wide receivers and finding out who is the youngest group of guys on this list. The younger the guys, the more sustainable they can be for the future. Guys like Davante Adams are getting a little bit older, and so you want to see a little bit more young guys stepping up to that type of skill level. But we have the Bengals at 24, the Dolphins at 26, the 49ers at 25, the Raiders at 28, and the Eagles at 24.
Adams and Keelan Cole being the oldest at 29, and Jamar Chase being the youngest at 22. That means I'm just going to be giving the Bengals and the Eagles an extra point. Alright, now what you guys have waited for, the final tally. Coming in 5th place with a score of 37.42 is going to be the Eagles. And 4th with a score of 41.93, the 49ers. With a score of 45.46, the Miami Dolphins. And 2nd place with a score of 48.2, the Raiders. And lastly, with a score of 53.55, the Cincinnati Bengals. I've declared statistically and subjectively that the Bengals are the best wide receiving core in the league. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see me do this for other positions, I can do that, and I'd be willing to. Just let me know in the comments. And yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're getting on our way to 400, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!